47% of the time, your mind is not where your body is. You're in a conversation already rehearsing your next line. You're in bed replaying every mistake from today, last week, 3 years ago. You make a decision and immediately start destroying it. Everyone calls it a bad habit. But what if they're wrong? Overthinking is not a flaw. It is not weakness dressed in anxiety. It is not something broken inside you. Overthinking is your nervous system doing exactly what it was trained to do. Survive. Here is what nobody tells you. Your mind doesn't spiral because it's damaged. It spirals because, at some point in your life, being wrong had real consequences. Maybe you said the wrong thing and got humiliated. Maybe you trusted someone and they used it against you. Maybe the people around you growing up were unpredictable, and the only way to stay safe was to think 3 steps ahead. Always. Your brain learned one lesson and never forgot it. If I think about it long enough, I can stop the pain before it reaches me. You didn't choose this. You were built for it. Neuroscience calls this hypervigilance, a survival state originally built for physical danger. When your ancestors heard something move in the darkness, their brain flooded with cortisol, sharpened every sense, and ran through every possible threat scenario in seconds. That system kept humans alive for 200,000 years. Here is the problem. Your brain cannot tell the difference between a predator in the dark and a text message you haven't replied to yet. The amygdala, your brain's threat alarm, fires the exact same distress signal for both. And for chronic overthinkers, that alarm never fully turns off. Wait before we continue. If this video explains something you've been fighting silently, subscribe, because this channel is for people trying to take their mind back. Now back to the video. Research from the University of Michigan found that overthinkers spend 52% of their waking hours trapped in repetitive, negative thought loops. Not by choice, but because their nervous system has classified uncertainty itself as a threat. Read that again. You are not addicted to worry. You are addicted to the illusion of control that worry creates. Because if you're thinking about it, it feels like you're doing something, like you're prepared, like nothing can blindside you. But here is the cruel trap. The more you overthink, the less you trust yourself. And the less you trust yourself, the more you overthink. Round and round. Forever. So where does it actually start? For most overthinkers, there is a moment, sometimes many moments, where your feelings were dismissed, where your instincts were laughed at, where someone told you you're too sensitive, too dramatic, too much. So you stopped trusting your gut and started consulting your mind. Over and over and over. For some people, it was a parent who was emotionally unpredictable. You never knew which version was walking through the door, so you became an expert at reading rooms, anticipating reactions, preparing for every possible outcome. For others, it was a friendship that turned without warning, a relationship built on sand, a childhood where love felt like it had conditions, where being enough required constant calculation. You didn't choose to overthink. You were taught that the world required it. And here is the most painful part. The environment that built this in you is long gone. But your nervous system never got the memo. The war ended. Your mind is still fighting. Here is what makes this even more dangerous. Overthinkers are often the most intelligent, most empathetic, most self-aware people in the room. And that becomes the trap. Because the smarter you are, the more convincing your own anxiety sounds. It doesn't show up as panic. It shows up dressed as logic. It says, I'm just being realistic. I'm just preparing for what could go wrong. I'm just thinking it through. And because it sounds so reasonable, you follow it. Down every rabbit hole, into every worst-case scenario, through conversations tomorrow that haven't happened yet. Your anxiety is the most articulate voice in your head, and it lies to you in complete sentences. This is why willpower doesn't work. This is why just stop overthinking is not only useless, it's insulting. You are not dealing with a thought problem. You are dealing with a safety problem. Your nervous system does not feel safe enough to be present. It does not trust that this moment right now is not a threat. And you cannot think your way out of a feeling of unsafety. The only way out is through repatterning. Not discipline, not more willpower. Safety. So what do you actually do with this? You stop fighting the overthinking, and you start getting curious about it. Next time your mind spirals, don't say stop. Why am I like this? Ask instead, what is my nervous system afraid of right now? What does it think it's protecting me from? That single shift from shame to curiosity is where the rewiring begins, because you cannot heal what you are at war with. You were not born an overthinker. You became one in an environment that required it, and environments can change. Nervous systems can learn new things at any age, at any stage. The goal was never to stop thinking. The goal is to finally feel safe enough to rest. And that begins the moment you stop calling it a flaw and start calling it what it actually is. Proof that you survived something. Feel free to begin.